broadcasting from the UK and across the world online. You're now watching The Moore Show and I'm your host Kevin Moore. Now for the next hour I'll be covering subjects that will open up your mind and provide you with information you may have never heard before. Now on today's show I'm about to be joined by my guest Jamie Butler. Now Jamie is a highly regarded international medium and channeler. Now since she was a child she could see, hear and talk to spirits. Now she's the host of the Lighter Side show and creator of this network, and she wants to help people realise the infinite possibilities in healing, joy and success that are available to everyone. Now Jamie is an author of the book With Love and Light and the energy channeler of Erik Medhus, who many know through the blog Channeling Erik. Along with seeing energy, she sees spirits clairvoyantly and hears them clairaudiently. Now throughout the years of working with her guides, she has learnt how to channel spirits and multi-dimensionally channel as well. Jamie Butler, welcome to the show.
Yay! Hello.
Great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, we just had a few technical problems there just to getting you on, but it's great that we're finally connected now and everything's working. The audio's perfect as well, so that is beautiful. So you are in Atlanta.
I am, yes.
Yes. Yeah. Have you always lived in Atlanta?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Have you always lived there?
No. I grew up in Central Florida. I lived in Paris for a little while, in New York City. Not for me. Moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and stayed put.
Okay, because I mean, Atlanta right now. I mean, it's the bustling place where the new Hollywood is in a sense as well. There's lots of production companies down there, and I think you're doing your own thing down there now, aren't you, as well with your TV show?
Yes, I grew a network. It's called the Lighter Side Network, and we have 5 shows now. It's an online network, and we tagline it where the everyday meets the extraordinary. It's very unique, and you're right, Atlanta is bustling with a lot of film, TV, movies, so it is the place to be for this.
It is, and I'm so grateful to have you on the documentary They Call Us Channelers. Thank you.
Yay.
Well, thank you for chasing me down to come onto it. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I was so excited that someone was going to highlight just channeling, because I can't tell you how long of my life that, I just would not tell anybody I did it. And I'm pretty good now saying, yes, I'm a medium. This is my work. But when it comes to, oh no, I trance channel. Oh yeah, I let the dead come in and use me like a puppet. And we do. It is a game changer. Most people just want to walk away from you, but it is a valid, very unique ability. And I think by you highlighting it, maybe we can get it out of the woo-woo and kind of back to where it used to be decades, centuries ago, where people would use channeling for a true source of information and guidance.
Yes, and
I'd like to see that.
It's funny you're saying all these words. On my table, just across in my room right now, is a book about that thick, right, on the definitive understanding from a PhD guy on the understanding of channeling. It's called Channeling by Dr. John Chemo. And he's retired now, but he's still writing books, and he's coming on the documentary to talk about the science side of channeling, and he's very much into it. And I'm like, my God, I can't wait as yourself, I can't wait to get you on, but I can't wait to get someone from that perspective as well to give it that shine that torch in it as well. And in this book about that big, which I've got to read before the interview, he talks about the origins, as you said, the origins of actually where it came from. He's traced it down to to all the centuries where we were using it, maybe with different names. I've just got the domain name channeling.com, and that's where the documentary is hosted on, and I feel getting that domain name, it's going to be my thing to be, to be bringing channelers together, but definitely the understanding of what channeling is is going to evolve, and I think, but mentioning that domain name because I want the readers I'm going to get on that domain. I want to kind of expand that. Even some readers that I use the word psychic to say, look, actually, I think I'm channeling, or I do actually have that ability to channel. Yeah, I think it's the evolution of the psychic reader to start entering into the channeling sphere for myself personally.
Yeah, and I hope we get to take some time and really talk about different types of channeling, because there's so many different variations.
Yeah.
We have automatic writing that I think maybe a lot of your viewers or your community kind of already know about. And oh, yeah, that's pretty neat, And automatic writing is a type of channeling. It's where we're beginning to kind of share our physical, intimate space
Yes.
with energy that we're not creating or manifesting, that we're sharing coming in.
Yeah, I mean,
And then,
yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Absolutely. So
yeah,
true.
yeah. I get excited about this because there's not a place, there's not a format anywhere that really talks about it in a grounded kind of a way. People just think channeling is trance channeling and that's it. And you're supposed to boom, go to sleep like Edgar Casey, say all this incredible stuff and wake up and not remember anything. But some channelers are not like that. Some they stay very present and it's almost like they're an auctioneer is what I call it, auctioneer channeling. They don't even have time to hear the words. It's kind of like how I work with Erik Medhus and a lot of my guides, Grace and Maitland. I don't even take the time to listen to them anymore. I'm just repeating. And it's very fast, but that's a sense of channeling. And then there's a shared space kind of a channeling where you're incorporating a spirit, but yet you're not releasing your body. So some of the channelers who are practicing with this, you'll hear them say they feel kind of tiny and small in their body and their mouths are up
Yep.
there, or they feel attached to their body, but they have this body dysmorphia feeling where they're big and hands are big, tongues are big, and it's moving, but they're not controlling it. And then there's some of us that just kind of go out, like Edgar Casey, and don't have the recollection of it, which is the type of channeling that my body naturally does. It didn't do that in the beginning per se, but soon after I got the hang of what it
Yep.
was, I knew that if I could get out of my way,
Yep.
that the channeling would be more authentic, like we could go to deeper places. And that's what happens. So when I come back, it's a pretty weird experience observing everybody in the room or people that are in front of you. And they're just like, are you there? I'm like, of course I'm here. Why wouldn't I be here? And you don't realize they just had an intimate moment with you for like 2 hours with somebody else in a different topic. And I totally missed it. I like to believe it's the fountain of youth.
Oh.
Like I didn't live those 2 hours, so I get an extra 2 hours in my life whenever I channel.
Yeah, well, do you know, it definitely with channeling, it keeps you younger. I don't know about a few things, but it seems to stop the aging of the body a little bit. I mean, I met some channelers and I'm like, how old are you? You're like, what? You're like, you don't look it. Do you know what I mean? Your skin is so good. You look fabulous. Do you know what I mean? Guys as well.
God, I want to believe that. I fully say that when you channel, you don't live those moments. Like your body almost stops. It belongs to some other energetic source. And then you can just get it back in a little bit later.
Absolutely. I can see that you just love this subject because you've just come alive now and it's early morning for you and I appreciate you coming on, right? I do. And I will bring that book with me, that massive book. I wish I could just reach it now and just show you it, but it would mean me getting up. Yeah. Now, even I was in central London. I was in Kensington just over the weekend filming one of the channels for the documentary. And again, he blew my mind because he's doing his practice from a completely different perspective of, forget meditation, forget all the practices we put in place of light protection and all this. He's not into all that stuff. He just brings it through and source energy speaks through him. He doesn't need to meditate. He doesn't need to put surrounding white light around him to protect it from entities that may be a bit mischievous and everything else. And I respect him for what he said. What came through was very good, right? But we all have a different way of doing this, don't we? You would say that potentially, well, there are spirits where we call them spirits. That's just a human word for it. But there are energy that's of a, well, would you call it mischievous, or would you say it's just from a different level, maybe, that just wants to come through, and it isn't always giving us the powerful advice that we could get in a reading?
I do believe that there are, not that lower is negative or anything,
No.
but different vibrational beings that may not have the same integrity and morals as the person who's trying to channel. But I think I love the way that guy works. And I think we all fell into this duality. We need to protect ourselves, only accept the good things, because our human existence is based on the duality. We believe that there is good and bad, reward and punishment, right and wrong. So when we get into the spirit realm, we want to believe that that spirit realm looks like we do. We want to humanize it and describe it that way. When I teach my students and we grow into teaching them channeling, I tell them, you know, surrounding yourself with white light might not be for you. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but I need your belief systems to be extremely solid. If you believe that you are protected when you do this work, then you don't need
Yes.
a ritual, a
Yes.
prayer, a system in
God,
place,
so
a
true.
candle, some smoke. But if you believe those things help you, then they're worthy and you stick to it. And I try to teach my students, when you have your belief system and you've been using it for so long, and you start to change, maybe some holes are in your belief system. And that's why you get these experiences of working with some denser energies that they're not attracted to, or a different vibration that is not cool with them. And I have to sit down and talk to them. Well, where did you grow? And why
Right.
didn't you choose to change with it? You
Right.
know, we have to adapt with this. So I really like the way he works.
Yeah.
I remember one of the first persons I met, Rainier, oh, I can't remember her first name. She was a medium who worked with the FBI, murder cases and all of this. She never said a prayer. She never did
Yep.
light. She never did any of it. And she was like, I'm just protected. I know it.
Yeah.
And I was blown
Well,
away.
you know, in all my, I channel, this is my journey of channeling as well, because I am. People know me as a host, you know what I mean, but I mean, I don't want to be in that box anymore. And I'm grateful for the show for allowing us for it to expand me and everything else. And I see now there's a much bigger picture with. I'm all about bringing out a bigger framework. I've been told in my channeling, and as I speak to channelers now, that there's another framework of reality that's out there, a framework that's not been talked about, that we're not aware of. That's a much bigger understanding than where we're at right now. Now it's all about timing, whether we're ready to hear that framework or not. I do believe it's there, and I just know it is, right, and it's waiting to come out. So as Seth brought out, great, framework of material. There's a framework beyond that as well. Actually, I got to speak to Seth the other day, because there's a guy called Mark Frost, and whether the Seth community likes him or not, he is in communication with Seth. And Seth is going to come on this documentary as well as people from the original Jane Roberts classes are going to come on as well on the documentary to talk about their experience being sat with Jane Roberts when that happened. I'm not saying just because one person says they're bringing Seth through, and then the others say, well, Seth only said he was going to come through Jane Roberts, blah blah blah. It's about you create your discernment and you go with what feels right. But I'm not going to be the one that says, oh, well, this is right, there's the book, read this book and this is the right book. No, you go with what you feel right. But I do feel that the people I'm bringing on are, it's going to open up a lot of people. I had the Law of One guy on just the other day, Jim McCarthy. He's coming on the documentary as well. Now, he's the original transcriber for the Law of One material. He was there with the other two as they were bringing the material through. And again, a beautiful soul who doesn't put his truths onto other people, and it's just, here's the Law of One material. If it works for you, it works, and if it doesn't, but also he's willing to expand his thinking and understanding of it as well. There's no, even when we got Bashar Darrell Anchor coming on, and Darrell says, well, this may not be my future self as an alien in the future. This may just be an aspect of myself coming through. Yeah, there's no. God, we could talk here for ages about this, couldn't we? Yeah.
Yes, I'm in.
Right.
I'm
Okay,
in.
let's do it. Yeah, well, where do we start with channeling? Okay, so that's beautiful what you've said there, that actually go with what feels right. I love that. That's so out the box. Yeah. What other out the box things would you say we could, that you would want to talk about in regards to channeling right now as well? That sort of are on your mind that you like, what, let's talk about, this is what we should be discussing.
Well, I think when people are being introduced, whether they're a complete novice or a complete skeptic, or they've been channeling themselves as a child or adult, I think that there is, people are always looking for a boundary. They're looking for a place where that's like, that is a no and that is wrong. And I would like to kind of peel that off of the conversation of energy and channeling and mediumship and readings and look at it as being able to identify when you're not comfortable. You've been saying it several times already. Doesn't feel good, doesn't sit with you, don't use it. I like to use the word, if you're not comfortable, then step back. And I think our human selves like to say, no pain, no gain. Push, push hard and practice and you will get it right. You'll learn how to ride that bike. Maybe you weren't meant to ride a bike. So I would love people to start looking at themselves a bit like an ebb and a flow. And if they're uncomfortable to, kind of ebb back. And when they resonate or feel comfortable, flushed, joyful, kind of swollen with this excitement, then move forward, flow forward. And I feel like if we can kind of show people how to navigate their own energy that way, when we get into observing channeling, talking about it and doing it, it's going to be, how do I say, more acceptable, like easier to be a part of. Not so foreign, not so crazy.
Right.
It's not crazy at all.
No, because I'm using words here that will make it sound crazy, but I'm just saying how most people see it. They see it as the fringe of spirituality. Even people in the community see it as the fringe of spirituality. But to me, it's the next evolutionary step. It's the way forward in all this. It's the way forward with readings and everything else. It's the way forward. It's what we do in our most natural state. Everyone is channeling. The car mechanic, the doctor, the artist, the musician, everyone, in the sense where they're connecting to that greater aspect of themselves. That's them, but it's separate, but it's them. Yeah. And whether it's the intuitive voice, the gut feeling, when someone says, I always follow my gut feeling, Kevin, it's never let me down, and look how successful I've been. I'm like, okay. They're channeling, yeah. So what is the difference between when you channel Erik and when you channel your higher self, in a sense?
Do we get to go really deep now?
Please.
Oh, I'm attached to this thing. Oh, what's the difference?
Yeah.
For me, I'm going to start broad. I feel that...
Oh, actually, before we start, sorry about this. Should we just say who Erik was, just for someone maybe listening who may not know? Sorry.
For the listener who does not know Erik Medhus, and that is Erik with a K, Erik Medhus. He is the son of Elisa Medhus, who journaled and blogged and wrote several books about her journey with her son crossing over. And the website is channelingerik.com. And I had the privilege of working with them for about 5-6 years in the beginning when she was starting her blog and working with her with the books. And Erik is he's a spirit that is almost tangible. You can smell him. You can see him. He's a prankster. He's got very colorful language. And he has really, for a large community, pushed the boundaries of what it is to communicate to beloved ones, deceased, to open up the line of talking about channeling, how to incorporate somebody's voice. But more importantly, I think the biggest thing here is how do we continue on having a relationship with someone we knew who had a body and no longer has one. So it's this new relationship that he's helping people navigate and to have. So if you end up on channelingerik.com with a K, please start at the beginning. Elisa has it all archived. It's kind of addictive. It's like a good long novel. So start at the beginning and work your way through.
Absolutely. So just thank you for that. And we're just putting the website on the screen as well. And Elisa is coming on the documentary as well. So you'll be on with her as well in the same documentary. So so the difference then between the higher self and channeling Erik, and do you think it's channeling an aspect of Erik, or do you think it's the full, this is Erik as me and you are having this conversation, it's the full embodiment of like consciousness in a sense?
I like that question. I see us all as being part of a whole, part of one. And I really kind of cling on to the scientific word holon, HOLON, which is being a part of the whole, but the part in and of itself is the whole. So even though we have to see it in our mind as a human as separate, it's not. It's a piece of and exactly at the same time part of the whole. So it's very contradictory to the way we like to describe things, but energetically it's very possible. I think this is where our human language kind of separates us from the experiences we're actually having, and we can't sit down and talk about it. So whoever is out there that's creating new words for the dictionary, please add some in for us. Because it's so hard to explain that if I'm speaking to Erik And I know that Erik has many other lives, incarnations. And I understand from my viewpoint, and I'm only going to speak from my viewpoint, it's the only one I have, that time is not linear, that it's more of a stacked feeling, that it's happening all at once. And Erik is just one piece of that stacked line. And I know he has access to all of his other incarnations as well as higher self. There was one time it was explained like a bicycle wheel, and that the higher self was in the center of the bicycle wheel, and all the spokes were the incarnations that were chosen to be lived by higher self, and that the tire itself was how these lives were connected, almost the parallels of them, or your agreements, your lessons, destinies, your deja vus, however you'd like to call them, is how it all communicates. So when I'm speaking to Erik, it may be a spoke of it, but from where he is, he's part of his higher self, and he has access to everything else. He clearly said one time, and you can find it on the blog, he says, I know who I am, and I choose to be Erik, and this is my language. This is my character, and I'm keeping it this way because it works. It works for me. It's who I am, like I like to be, and it works for the people who are listening. And you could hear then that even though he's this sailor talking, young 20s, kind of pushing my buttons, saying things that I might not resonate with, and humor that I don't think is funny, that he's got a point. If he can't form the information in a way where people want to listen, then what's the purpose of it? Of course he could be his higher consciousness self. And it might be so big and grand that we just kind of go, what? I don't get what you're saying. But no, he throws an F-bomb and he does this and he points his finger in the wound and people go, that's my language. I totally get that. So he got it right in that sense. So I do feel I'm speaking to Erik. He knows this incarnation is Erik, but it is fed by his higher self. It's fed by all his other incarnations, and it's fed by his curiosity of where he is and how to teach us where he is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, with channeling then, there is nothing too difficult about it in one sense. When I said earlier on, we are always channeling, and channeling is just a word. Some people like the word receiving. They prefer the word downloads. It's just a word. It's a human word, isn't it, to explain a phenomena that even we only again have human words to put for the concept too. So. Is there a time in the day when we're not really communicating with our higher self, do you think?
No.
Right.
I don't think there is. Not even when you're asleep, when you're daydreaming, when you lose yourself, when you're driving in your car. I think we are constantly, an antenna and communicating and receiving subtle light information and energy to higher self, to other incarnations. And I think that part of the beauty, though, of being human is that we don't recognize it. So I'm not sitting here clamoring to catch every moment that I'm connected to something broader.
Yep.
Because I signed up for this life. So I'm trying to get the real gist and the joy of having a bit of amnesia, of not having access, and feeling really singular, yes, even though I'm not. So it's just a little bit of a balance.
Of course, because you still want to have this human experience, you want to stay grounded with one leg in the the human realm and one leg in the spiritual realm, and not truck all both feet into the spiritual realm, because it's important for you to be here. But then let's just talk about that. Obviously there's an aspect of channeling, Erik, that some people have been discussing recently, and not to get too dragged into that, but they talk about as well that if Erik committed suicide, then is there a damaged aspect of him that we might be communicating to that's not healed in a sense? Or as Erik maybe you've probably said in previous interviews and answered this question, that actually once you've crossed over, yes, I took my own life in one sense, but it's I'm reconnected to the bigger part of myself then in the other sense.
I think we get straight to the point. The issue is the suicide. It's not Erik. It's how do we choose to define suicide? And I think to protect us as humans, we say that it's bad because it doesn't align with our survival techniques. Offing yourself, that's not survival. And so we've described it as being a negative experience and terrible, and that you do not do this. But the more that I've been communicating to spirits, and I've been doing this professionally for 26 years, that I've come across a lot of people, entities that have chosen suicide as an answer to the closing of their life. And surprisingly enough, it doesn't trigger me the same way that it used to, the way that I was taught by my parents. I see it now as energy cannot cease to exist.
Yeah.
We cannot create it. We cannot destroy it. We can only manipulate it.
Yeah.
Death, suicide, however death comes, is a part of manipulating the energy from one source to another. It is a part of a change. And so knowing this, we aren't saying in a spiritual way or in an energetic way that the person who is taking their own lives is killing their energy and eliminating themselves. There is, I believe, inside of us an innate sense, even for the atheists, even for the ones that believe they go ashes to ashes or into darkness. I do believe somewhere there's a question far, far back that something continues. And I think somehow Erik knows this. We all kind of know this. So for me, it is not a negative experience that Erik found his answer, and it brought him peace to transition his life in the moment he knew he needed it. And it takes a lot of strength and courage, and there's got to be a greater word for it, to be brave, to admit that this is not where you need to be anymore, and to leave. And I know that there are some people who choose to leave their life untimely, and let's say they're doing it to make somebody else angry. They're doing it for an external response, not an internal relief.
Yes.
Erik was an internal relief. Chester from Lincoln Park a few weeks ago, internal relief. You know, they are finding their own answers this way. And for this, I express love for them and gratitude that they were able to provide it for themselves because they couldn't find it anywhere else. But there are some who do it for external, and then in that essence, in their energy, they are mending those ways and looking at it and really growing from the experience.
Yes,
I would love to see the negative label taken off.
No, yeah, and everyone's got a different opinion on that, and that's up to them, and they'll take those opinions when they cross over as well to the side that they go back to.
Yes, they will.
yeah, and that will still be their truth until they make up a new truth on what they think then is right or wrong for them as well. Yeah, you know. Some crazy stuff, you know, when interviewing Mark Frost the other day about the nature of this reality and getting to speak to Seth, you know, he was saying that, you know, that potentially we are projecting ourselves from the future into this reality now, that we are creating this reality, that we are this is an aspect of us projected into this timeline now, obviously in time as we perceive it, not non-linear as where it is where we go back home to, and that we are projecting this and making this happen for ourselves in the future, if you want to think of it this way, to grow, and that, you know, potentially, you know, the holographic universe does exist, and that this isn't what we think it is at all. Mind-blowing it really was. And when you fit that into channeling as well, that well, who's trying to wake who up?
Exactly. We both are. And I in my lifetime, what I'm hearing you say that Seth is talking about is something that resonates with what I've been experiencing. I don't know if I can put it into the same exact words, but there's a lot of familiar tastes when I hear what Seth is saying. And it would be, I think, really prudent if we sat down and looked at, in being human, we're not all the ones that need help. You know, spirit, higher self, it's still growing and learning as well.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to call Earth the classroom. You come here to learn. Like, oh, so when you die, you quit? I mean, you just get everything, the key, the whatever it is. And what I'm hearing from spirit, higher spirit, even Erik, is that they keep learning and they keep growing. And you're right, it feeds off of each other. Who's helping who? And we're all in this together. We're all helping each other.
Yeah, and when we talk about spirit, you're talking to higher spirit, or the higher spirits come through. We think of it as some people think of it. It's some sort of floaty, but bodies are floating around in some cloudy bloody vision somewhere. And I don't. It's not even. It's this. It's what we've got now. Probably. It's as real and as tangible as this. Maybe it is this. Maybe that's the illusion. It was this all the way along. We're just dreaming the dream that it's not, so that we can pretend and have this experience of it not being. Maybe the experience of where we go to is this. Maybe this is just a reflection of something that was some place we've already been to, and we've just come back into this illusion so that we just give ourselves the chance to feel separate again. I don't know. Where are we going with this? I don't know.
All I can hear is Erik to my right saying, "Quick, let's light up the marijuana. Quick, we got to smoke this one out." If you're new to Erik, that's part of his humor. It's not that he's advocating that for everybody. It's just get to know him first before you make a judgment call. But he's being very funny about it. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Where are they? What could it be? Could it be similar to where we are right now? And I would agree. I think we sensationalize it because we don't know what it is. And, whenever there's a mystery, we tend to use our imagination and make it bigger and better, or darker and worse. Yeah. Like, since I grew up Baptist, and if anybody who is Baptist knows that Baptist really hangs on to hell and damnation and staying out of it. And I remember being in church and shouting out, that's not the way it works. That's not right. That's not right. And when my guides were telling me what was happening kind of on their side, they would suggest to me, because I was little, and I would ask them, "Where's hell? What's that like? I don't want to go there." And they're like, you won't. I mean, you're already there. This is the farthest away that you can get away from source. You're doing it right now. And I'm like, so this is the hell that he's talking about? They're like, no. They have to teach me, because I've been indoctrinated with what hell looks like with the stories and everything, that it's not necessarily that. That's what the story has grown into. But this is the most separate that we can be. And all the while, my guides are trying to tell me, cherish it, enjoy it. You picked it. And we get to, like you said, grow, learn, explore, and pretend like it's the first time. So we're really stretching our vibrations. And at the same time, our higher self gets to do it, and all of our other incarnations get to do it.
Yeah.
And then every other energy does, because we are all one.
If you could just dimensionally shift right now, we talk about dimensions in the sense that if we just had, it's like a radio, and when you're tuning in, you can hear a different frequency, you can hear a different station because it's broadcasting on a separate frequency. It's like, if you had that ability with your eyes, as you do with your clairaudient, clairsentient, and other clairs that you've got, you're able just to tune in, and there it is. So if we were able to tune in right now, I wonder, in the space where you're sat and where I'm sat, what else exists in this exact same space on another dimensional level?
I've got a lot of people over here. I call it, they look like people.
Yeah.
But you might call them spirits or
of course.
Guides. And for me, what I experience in my room is a whole nother set of emotions. And it doesn't really resonate like my physical body emotions, my struggle with timing, my work, my decisions. What am I going to eat? How am I going to get there? Do I have gas in my car? Yes. But it's a more compassionate, supportive, loving space. And there are times, Kevin, I feel like I'm walking through it, and I've kind of left my human plane. There's days I leave my office and I go to my car, and I've got to sit there for a while. Yeah. And tell myself that everything's okay, that I'm gonna drive home, and it's gonna be fine. And I know that sounds a little worrisome, but it's as if I'm walking and I feel like I'm connected to everything, and that I have everybody's story at once, even the tree, the blade of grass, all the materials we've created in the human life. And it's very large and grand, and my human brain can't hold on to that much. So it's channeling through really quick. It's coming through.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll sit there and go, I can't wait until I leave this body. I'm not interested in doing that now, but I can't wait for it. I kind of get excited, and I have to tell myself in the car, just calm down. You're okay. Simplify, which is strange. So sometimes those worlds, that space you're talking about,
yes,
it bleeds over when we become sensitive and we really practice that channeling aspect. Wait, don't you think everybody's body, I like to describe them as little coffee straws. Have you ever tried to drink through one of those things? You're like,
yeah,
like you're really pulling on it hard, not a lot's coming through.
Yeah, yeah.
I think all of us are that way, and we're channeling through that straw energy all the time. But then all of a sudden, some of us have like fire hoses, and the amount of energy that can come through there with no side effects is just abundant. Sometimes I feel like I am just one big straw. It's just rushing in, and it's like, what do I do with that? I can't play human when all of that is happening. I got to have some faucet gauge here, which is, I think it's nice that I have the work that I do, because I can rev it up for my work and I can rev it down when I go home, get the best of both worlds. I can't even remember why I got into this, but I get excited about it.
No, it's beautiful. It's beautiful what you're saying. And it's like, yeah, that's that other dimension that's around you. Or not just another dimension. We're talking about there's probably an infinite level of realities to go to. But
Right?
what if we're just bleeding in to another place or time that's as real as this, but it's actually where it's the true us of what we are, which is always says so in all the books, and anyone that's had a near death or anyone that's channeled, it's the truer reality of where we come from. But we project, we bring ourselves. Sorry, go ahead.
I have a question for you. Like, when you're saying that, are you saying that there's maybe one spot or one dimension or one reality that's more true, like to the core? Or
yep.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Or are you saying that all the levels, the layers, the collage, however you want to see it in your head, all of it put together is that one spot that has the most true core reality? Well,
this is the beyond understanding concepts of reality that we're talking about, beyond our understanding, because we've done a forget me not here. We can't remember, or we've purposely blocked ourselves. I would say trying to remember the unrememberable, or the nothingness. I would say maybe we've subdivided ourselves off into many parallel realities. There's so many more of us the way we are looking right now, but just a little bit different, happening in the same moment right now, that sometimes we bleed through that moment. I put that pen over there where you did in another reality, and you've just bled through because you've changed your perception of the reality you was in and shifted over to this one just for now. I would say there's an infinite number of us having this. It's like Groundhog Day. I've said this in my interviews before. The Groundhog Day movie, where Bill Murray does the same life over and over again. And I keep saying on it, like a broken record on these interviews, how many times have I lived this same life over and over again? Forget past lives or future lives. What about this life? We're living it over again. In a different aspects of it. That's when I talked about the different frameworks of understanding available to us. I think that's bleeding through right now in our understanding of even the spiritual people's understanding in this spiritual realm. I think it's bigger than what we even consider in our books. Does it help the present moment? Well, we're obviously ready for it because we're having this conversation, so something's ready for it. I think it's an illusion. That's the trick here. I think we're all living an illusion, and whose illusion is it? Is this all set up just for, it was just one person's illusions, and everyone's agreed just for this one person to come through in this lifetime to have this illusion? Was that the illusion? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it goes against what people say is, well, historically evidence has shown me it's this way. And I'm saying, well, what if it's not that way? Now, that some people say, well, that's a seeker's mind, and the seeker's mind can get in the way sometimes, and it can destroy actually what is the actual reality. But I don't know. I don't know. I guess this is a bit of an out there conversation, really. What we think we know, maybe we don't know, and maybe that's a question that could go to Erik if he's there.
Yeah, what you think you know, you may not know.
What
Like
does he
Erik
know?
was
Even yeah.
Erik was Erik was commenting on your concept of parallel lives. I put my pin there, but maybe in the parallel life I chose not to put the pin there. And maybe in a parallel life we didn't have sound issues and we just started right on time, and the conversation would have been completely different. But he's saying that it requires a lot of focus for a action and a reality to be acknowledged. So imagine that when you are focusing on your life, he says, that you have placed the pen there, and then maybe in your parallel lives, you chose to place it three different other places, and then maybe one nowhere. So maybe there were four others. But it was more valuable, it played out better to you to have the pen in that location. So the focus grew more into that viable, like most optimal path. So the other ones kind of phase out or burn out. They don't then grow old, live, die, and recycle again. So it's not like every second is birthing thousands of parallel lives of the choices that you had. It is birthing other parallel lives energetically, but if it's not the one you're following through with, it's kind of collapsing and coming back into the path that you have chosen to remain focused on. Did I do that right? Okay.
Thank you, guys. And that's the perfect example of why some readings, the people that get even psychic readings, they change. You know, people will say, "Well, she got that
Yes.
wrong." Well, I'm like, "Well, yeah, but you've stepped into another reality. You've chosen because you're in charge anyway. The reader's not in charge of every reality you are. They're just picking up on the probable timeline. Should you keep going down the reality that you're on, but you're in charge and you've changed it. So, that's why."
Free will.
Yeah. Yeah. And what makes a difference between, just to bring us back to channeling, what makes a difference between a channeled reading and as you give them, and a psychic reading? Because there is some crossover in your readings, right? Well, you tell us, what would you say is the difference between a channeled reading and a psychic reading?
Most of my readings are channeled. Whether that is me listening, like with Erik, and not even paying attention and just saying it as part of channeling. Psychic to me, a psychic reading would require me to be present and me to use my skills. So when I look at somebody's energetic field, aura, whatever you want to call it, I can see layers, colors, blobs, and I can go back into my intelligence, my information book, and go, oh, yellow on the head is this for me, and this and that color and that texture and the way the light shines. So I know the person is da da da. To me, that's psychic. I'm using my clairs to have that. When I'm listening to Erik, yes, I'm using my clair, but at the same time, I'm not putting my 2 cents in it. I'm being neutral. I'm in the gray zone. I'm on the fence. And if I can get on the fence, that's channeling. That's where I'm not involved. My instrument is allowing the information to come through, but my intelligence, my opinion, my emotional intelligence isn't even filtering the information. So most of my sessions are channeled. If I sit down and sketch your energy and I draw it and I talk about it, I would say that's the psychic ability really coming through.
So that makes you quite unique, because not everyone channels and has those clairs. They just don't. I mean, yes, I've met people who do, but it's not the norm, right? So and again, with a channeled reading that you do, then it's not really, I'm just putting words in your mouth, tell me if I'm wrong. I wouldn't say it's about who you're going to meet, the future or the past. It's about the teaching information that you need to hear now for where your soul's evolution is, would you say?
Oh, I like that. I think it's very much like that. But a lot of the people that come for private sessions, they have an agenda. They have something on their mind that they want to ask, and they have something in the back of their mind that they want to hear. And they want to hear it a specific way. And so I kind of prep people as they're coming in for a session. Let's stay kind of loose with this. Let's just see where it goes, because what's going to come up is going to be what you need, for your plate in this moment at this time. And I do remind them, the future is inconsistent. The way that we're looking at the future is by percentage of how we feel you would behave or react. But you have free will and you can turn left or right whenever you want to.
Yeah.
So it would blow it out of the park. But in general, we can discuss future, but it really depends on how you're choosing to show up.
Right. So okay, biggest one, relationships. Let's just face it, that's a massive one for people. Like, we're all there. I'm still there, right? But and yeah, when is she gonna come and when's he gonna come? And, when am I gonna fall in love? And it's like, well, if it's a channeled reading, I would say sometimes it's what's gonna. Did you ever fall in love with yourself? How much have you loved yourself?
It's a good human lesson. You got to get used to the instrument you're stuck in and love it and know how it works before growing into somebody else's instrument. Because when we are expressing deep gratitude, love, compassion, we're sharing energy. You're sharing your instrument with somebody else. So yes, that's important. But there's sometimes those people who've come in, they've got it. They love themselves. They've done the work. They have nailed it to the wall, hung it up for great art. And then they're like, where is my love life? And the entities come around and go, guess what? Here's how it's laying out. You're going to turn this corner. Here are some opportunities. This is when it's coming up in the fall, and just shine. And then other times, for those logical people that like to do readings, they're all heady, but they're like, I have an open heart, but they're very heady. And they ask questions like that might influence their future. It's so funny to see the energy and the guides go, nope, not going to tell you anything.
Wow.
And yes, we do know. And, and sometimes people get very angry and they're like, we're going to sit down and explain why we're not going to tell you now. Because if we tell you what color hair or when or what, you'll sabotage it, because you'll go on the man hunt or the woman hunt for them, and you'll choke that experience out and you'll never be able to recreate it, and it's gone. And they're like, what would you like to have? The real, authentic, deep love?
Yes.
Or would you like to go choke it out and make it disappear?
Yeah.
Person's like, I don't need to know.
and it takes people's power away as well, doesn't it? I mean, if they've come here to, it becomes, you take people's power away, and no guide's going to do that in a sense as well. Especially if they're not. I bet they come to readings with you sometimes, and it's like, oh God, you're telling me something I didn't want to hear. I don't want to hear it's a year or a couple of years around the corner. I want to hear it's, I want what I want now. And it's like, in the end, I bet after they've had the reading with you and it's, time has settled a bit, they realize, oh, you know what? Yeah, she was right, because I was never ready for it right now, to be honest with you. But I didn't want to tell myself that at the time. I wanted to hear what I wanted to hear.
Right.
Yeah.
This is where linear time frame can be really good, because retrospect is such a great teacher.
Yes.
We can look back and go, oh, okay, yes, I was right.
Yes.
But
why do you think why do you think that you in this lifetime chose to awaken and have so many people around you, the majority not to be awakened? I mean, you could answer that a number of ways. That's the nature of reality, in the sense that the souls come here to have these experiences, and it's, how do you learn to swim unless there's no water? But why would anyone come here to awaken if why does the soul, okay, here's a better question for it. Why is it preferable to awaken, or is it preferable to awaken?
it's not. I don't think that's the valuable thing here. The valuable thing that I've experienced with human existence, purpose, is stretching the emotional boundaries, discovering emotional intelligence. We are emotional beings. We're not human beings. We're not logical beings. And I think the way back to core self or spiritual or enlightenment is through how we're feeling. Being comfortable, uncomfortable. For me, I think I chose it because I have this infinity to play and to have fun. When we hang out more, you'll get to see it.
Yeah.
And my guides used to tell me that I would constantly be in kindergarten. I would be the perfect kindergarten teacher. And I see that. I so enjoy taking energy and teaching it on a kindergarten level. And I love it. And I don't want to be the hard-ass 12th grade teacher or college professor. I'm the one that wants to play with it and use laughter to heal, and exploration for truth relationships, to figure out your truth with what your abilities really are. And I think that's why growing up, my clairs, my psychic abilities, whatever you want to call them, turned into be very casual. So I see and I hear just like I do with people. I think I humanized it so that I could play with it very commonly and get other people to see that it's not threatening and it's not weird. It's very natural. And it's really just taking our traditional five senses and adding that sixth sense layer over all those senses and basically creating an extra five senses that we have that is our right to use and to play with and to trust.
Yeah, yeah. You know, as you're talking there, I'm just getting all this. I'm just thinking, hang on a minute. You know, if we're all one, if we're all connected, and everyone's, an aspect of each other, well, then it's like a whole body in a sense, and it's like, you are me, I am you. We're all this one essence, from the same source, and it's like, I wonder if this is some game that that we were. This was to awaken ourselves, to awaken ourselves from where we came from. So say we come from somewhere else, which we do, and to awaken ourselves in that place, we come here to play this game so that it's a gentler way of trying to awaken ourselves than the space that we just sort of came from before. I'm not making any sense. I'm trying to I'm not even trying to employ logical sense here.
Does that mean does that mean when I see you next, I can give you a good pinch on the arm so you know that you're here?
Slap me over with a 2x4. I think you'll need to. It's like, shit, Jamie, that hurts. Yeah, I'm here. I'm present. Yeah, I know, right? I know this is great. There's something almost, I feel like, bleeding through me, some truth that is trying to express itself, and I'm the block right now and it's like a gently expression without forcing me its truth of what it is. But there's something, that is an illusion, and I know that much, but I don't know whose illusion it is, and I'm not going to figure that out right now. Does it matter?
And the other question is asking yourself, Kevin, like, how far do I want to open up the faucet? And do I need to?
Do I need to? That's the thing, isn't it? Do we need to? Well, yeah. I don't know. Have we got the message as a collective? Because the thing is, we're channeling the same message comes through again and again and again, and people say, no, it's just the same information. And my people say, well, hang on, you never listened in the first place. You never listened in the first place. That's why it keeps coming through in different ways, in different wording, in different tones, in different languages, with different people in different parts of the world. So we're not listening, and we're and where is the world going? And is there another framework that wants to come through now? Because there was always another window that was going to open to say, well, there is another way. Have you thought about it from this perspective? You can't wake up from that perspective. I don't know. Am I making stuff up that's not even there? I don't know. Have I gone crazy as a host? Maybe.
Mark this day and time down in your journal, everyone. Today is the day Kevin went off the rails.
Yeah, he's lost it. Yeah. I don't know. No.
I don't think you've lost it. There is something bigger and grander and greater coming. And I just think we're in the phase where we can smell the rain coming, but it's just not raining on us yet. And it will require masses to understand something very similar, like the 100th monkey, to allow that energy to burst and grow into a higher vibration. And when it occurs, I think what we're really going to experience, not this kind of ascension where we all evaporate and go into a different dimension, but a very strong intuitive ability. We're going to gain our telepathy skills back. We're going to gain our dream states back, our manifestation abilities back. This Einstein's magnetism, like attracts like. We're going to be able just to have it, and then grow our world from that vein.
Funny you say that. I've been watching this YouTuber called Gary Vaynerchuk, right? He's a sort of motivational speaker. He's run a lot of business, and I'm thinking, when this guy's speaking, he's channeling. This guy is doing everything you're saying there with all these abilities, yet he wouldn't label it as these, but they're doing it all the time. There's people with those abilities waking up now that don't even know that they're called that, and they're using that. So when people say, hey, how do you know she's gone, that lady's gone, or how do you know she's not working with you anymore? People are like, well, I don't know, I just know, don't you know? And they're like, no, you must be psychic. And they're like, no, but of course they are.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that is where we're heading. So thank you for allowing me to be one of your 100 monkeys to the listeners for your show to kind of encourage us all to nudge and wake up a little bit. It's like the kindergarten teacher I like to be. I like to just nudge them, wake up, honey. Look what else there is.
Yes.
But again, everybody chooses to wake up when they want to. How big is the faucet? Up to you.
So you would see a world in the future where people are using these skills, but they may be like, whoa, I'm not psychic. Whoa, I'm not channeling. Whoa, no, I'm not doing that. But then they may say that the next day they're doing the same exact thing. But what would the benefits? What are the benefits of that world compared to the world we live in now?
Ooh, let's just take one off the surface here. Clarity of communication. Can you imagine the extent of lying? How far it would go? Not that far. you know. So if we're communicating with heartfelt energy, emotional intelligence, telepathy, we're communicating in a way where lies can't present itself. The defense mechanisms that we're taught, put up your walls, just say you're fine. You don't have to tell them what's really going on. Can't happen anymore. We say, how are you? And we instinctively know and feel, and we can give our compassion and stop judging and accepting exactly who we are. That change alone would it would touch every avenue and street in this entire world.
But what about
Everything.
what about the souls who don't want to come down here to be in that type of world? What about the souls who want, right, I want to be the perpetrator, I want you to be the victim, yeah, I'll be the victim, yeah, no problem, and I want this to go wrong, I want these struggles in my life, I want all this. Oh, hang on, Planet Earth's not playing that game anymore. Well, that's a bit crap. I mean, that's what I really wanted. Where are they? Where are they going to go? I mean, don't we as souls maybe crave for these forget-me-nots in the sense of what it gives us? If it's not going to be there.
I don't know. I'm a big dreamer, but I have realistic shoes. When we change vibrations in the 100th monkey, there are other monkeys that will refuse to wash their fruit before they eat it. There will be other people on Earth that will uphold the duality and the lower vibrational qualities. It's not like it's 100% across the board. There's no A plus here on Earth. There's no absolutes on Earth. That's what's so wonderful. But there are majorities. And I feel like the majority will find that authentic communication. And I think the minority will find the duality and disagreements and jealousies and misunderstandings as valuable. And I believe our Earth can hold all of it. There's absolute love and value in every single vibration and in every single emotion. So to dismiss one because we say we don't like the way it feels or doesn't give us the results we're looking for, I think that's kind of ignorant. Even the pain and suffering, the grief, bereavement, the hardships have great value and great success. But majority-wise, I feel like we'll find it.
Okay, absolutely. Well, we're almost at the end of this interview now. We've been putting your details across the screen as we've been speaking, in ways to contact you as well, because obviously you offer private readings as well. And your website for your TV network as well, that is?
thelightersidenetwork.com. And we have a coupon special right now. So if you like what you see on our website, type in gratitude and you will receive a lifelong discount. It's like almost 50% off.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we'll make sure that's on the screen throughout the interview as well.
Thank you.
I hope I with this type of interview, I always think, well, I've left the people who are just stuck in the mundane stuff and just need the simpler answers out of this interview. And I'm sorry if I have, but I hope they've got something from this. What would you say is the most important message of your work then?
The most important message of my channeled work? Kevin, you should have given me that question like 3 months ago and let me meditate on it. No. I don't know if I could pinpoint something most important, but I guess if I was giving something out in general, is that what we are talking about today is natural. It is not a studied trait. It's not a learned trait. It's a very natural thing. It's a natural sense that you possess. And I would encourage that if anybody is listening and you've had those odd moments, those ahas, those lucky, those coincidences, those logical words that you're using to describe an intuitive hit and an intuitive experience, to please maybe just sit down and look at the language you're using and discover what your natural abilities really are. Start calling them what they are. Go, I didn't know it, but I sensed it. That would be intuitive.
That's beautiful. Thank you for that. Now that's a very unique message. See, you didn't need months. You just brought that through just in the present moment right now.
I channeled it.
Channeled it through. Absolutely. Well, listen, Erik, thank you for coming through. I know we've not spoke much to you neither, but that's appreciated. And Jamie, just thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to seeing both you guys in Atlanta when I come to see you in the fall.
Yes.
So
we cannot wait.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be crazy good. So listen, I'll leave my love with you, and thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for all your patience and all the opportunity. Take care.
Well, we've come to an end on today's show. Don't forget that you can listen and watch all our past interviews on the More Show's official YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for new daily shows. You may also find out more on our past and upcoming guests by going to themoreshow.com, and do like us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest updates. So until next time, be safe.